In the cold void of space, the Nix 7, a battleship of the Earth Alliance, drifted among the charred debris, the remnants of a defense fleet obliterated in less than 12 minutes. Captain Leor Kane stood motionless before the tactical display, her eyes locked onto the weapon that had destroyed everything, a massive prism-shaped structure, pulsating with eerie rhythmic waves. It didn't fire plasma beams, missiles, or nuclear bombs. It just vibrated. And with each pulse, the space before it vanished as if it had never existed. Damage report, Leor's voice was rough. 63%. Every ship within 10 astronomical units is gone. No explosions, no wreckage, just gone. Chief Engineer Alan swallowed hard. That weapon doesn't destroy, it erases reality itself. Leor narrowed her eyes, staring at the pulses emitted by the alien weapon. It didn't radiate in any known electromagnetic spectrum. The waves it released seemed to affect the very fabric of spacetime. They're charging again. She understood. It wasn't a gun. It wasn't a bomb. It was a reality resonance device, interfering with the fundamental frequencies of the universe, causing anything within range to be erased from existence. Spectral analysis, Leor ordered. The screen flared to life, data waves cascading across it. A steady oscillation repeated itself. A pulse cycle of precisely 0.0037 seconds. Can we counter-resonate? Leor's voice was ice cold. Ellen was silent for a long moment. If we match the frequency, we could create a null zone to neutralize the effect, but it would take a power source on the scale of a Dyson sphere. We don't have time, Leor gritted her teeth. Push the quantum reactor to maximum output. Match that frequency now. The Nix 7 shuddered violently as the quantum core surged to its limit. A column of violet-blue light erupted, emitting a counter-resonance pulse. Space trembled around them as the two frequencies clashed. On the screen, the alien weapon flared one final time, and then fell silent. Leor exhaled slowly, her hand gripping the armrest. This time we survived, she murmured. But if they return with a different frequency? No one answered. In the darkness of space, the pulse of annihilation still waited for its next strike. The Revenant glided silently through the void, its hull still humming with energy from the primal core. Adrian sat at the command table, the circular room filled with his most trusted officers. Holographic displays spun around them, projecting newly acquired weapon schematics and unknown alien signatures. Lee tapped a panel. Captain, the primal core unlocked a new signal, deep in the Andron Rift. Jackson frowned. Let me guess, it's not a distress beacon. No, Lee confirmed. It's a challenge. Adrian leaned forward, but on screen the hologram shifted to reveal an ancient message. To those who defy extinction, prove your worth. Coordinates pulsed beneath the words. Jackson whistled. I'm starting to hate mysterious invitations. Adrian's jaw tightened. If they want a demonstration, we'll give them one. Lee hesitated. Captain, the energy readings suggest whoever sent this is older and more advanced than the Harbinger. A spark of defiance flared in Adrian's eyes. Good. Let's see if they can handle what we've become. The ship trembled as the Omega Edge weapon blueprint finalized. A shimmering blade of pure quantum distortion formed within the display, a weapon that could slice through dimensions. Jackson grinned. I always wanted a universe-breaking sword. Adrian stood. Prepare the ship. We're not just defending humanity anymore, we're rewriting our place in the galaxy. The engines flared as the Revenant turned toward the Andron Rift, where the next battle, and perhaps the true architects of this war, awaited. The Revenant pierced through the black expanse, engines glowing with the raw power of the primal core. The Andron Rift loomed ahead, an endless storm of swirling energy, twisting reality itself. No human vessel had ever crossed it and returned. Entering the rift in 60 seconds, Lee reported, her voice tight with tension. Energy flux is rising. This place wasn't made for us. Adrian stood tall, his gaze locked on the shimmering tier in space. Good, let's make ourselves at home. Jackson laughed under his breath. Remind me to never play poker with you, Captain. As the Revenant crossed the event horizon, reality twisted. Systems flickered. For a moment, Adrian felt as if the ship was being watched, not by sensors, but by something ancient and patient. Contact! Lee's voice cut through the hum of the bridge. Unknown structure ahead, massive. The rift cleared to reveal a titanic station, larger than any planet, its surface pulsing with golden glyphs. It was no wreckage. It was alive. At its center, a radiant sphere pulsed, a core of unimaginable energy. Jackson leaned forward. That's no distress beacon. That's a throne. The ship's speakers crackled with a voice, not mechanical, but old, vibrating through the marrow of their bones. You are unbroken, but are you worthy? Without warning, three colossal vessels emerged from the station, each one gleaming with alien technology beyond anything they had faced. Incoming fire, Lee shouted. The first shot struck. Reality itself bent as an entropy lance tore toward them. Activate the Omega Edge, Adrian barked. The shimmering blade of quantum distortion flared to life. Adrian gripped the controls, guiding the weapon. With a single swift arc, the Omega Edge sliced through the lance, shattering it into harmless fragments. Jackson whooped. Oh, I like this thing. But the enemy ships didn't retreat. They advanced in eerie synchronization. Adrian's eyes burned with resolve. If they want to fight, let's show them what humanity can do. The Revenant surged forward, the Omega Edge humming like a living thing in Adrian's hands. The alien warships shifted formation, encircling them in a triangle of death. They're locking us in, Lee warned. Energy signatures spiking. This is going to hurt. The enemy's weapons fired in unison. Blinding beams of reality-piercing energy converging on the Revenant. Adrian didn't flinch. Deploy the dimensional shroud. A pulse erupted from the ship's core, a shimmering veil of quantum energy that fractured reality around them. The beams hit, but instead of destroying the Revenant, they bent harmlessly into the void. Jackson whooped. I'm starting to love these upgrades. Adrian's focus sharpened. Target their command ship. Let's take the head off the snake. The Omega Edge extended, crackling with raw universal force. With a flick of his wrist, Adrian guided the blade toward the largest vessel. The blade struck! A massive gash tore through the alien hull, unraveling it on a molecular level. The ship twisted violently before imploding into nothingness. The other two ships retaliated, unleashing grav crushers, weapons designed to collapse anything in their path. Lee's fingers danced across the console. Redirecting power. Brace for impact. The Revenant trembled as the gravitational waves slammed into the hull. Metal groaned, but the ship held, barely. Jackson snarled. We can't take another hit like that, Captain. Adrian's jaw tightened. Then we end it. Now. He activated the Singularity Spears, the new weapon harvested from the primal core. 3 shimmering lances of compressed space-time erupted from the ship's sides, impaling the remaining warships. The enemy vessels froze, caught in a suspended moment, as though time itself rebelled against their existence. And then they were gone, disintegrated into the rift's endless void. The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of the Omega Edge cooling down. Lee exhaled shakily. All hostiles neutralized. The station, it's opening. On the view screen, the massive alien station shifted, revealing a golden gateway shimmering with unfathomable energy. A new voice echoed through the bridge, calm yet filled with ancient power. You have passed the first trial. Will you face the next? Adrian smiled grimly. We didn't come this far to turn back. Take us in. The Revenant glided toward the Golden Gateway, its hull still shimmering with the lingering energy of the Omega Edge. The gateway pulsed rhythmically, an invitation and a warning. Crossing the threshold, Lee reported, tension thick in her voice. The moment the Revenant passed through, the universe shifted. The cold emptiness of space dissolved into a vast celestial arena, a place where natural laws seemed to unravel. Planets hung suspended, unmoving. Cosmic storms twisted in frozen spirals, and at the center stood a colossal obelisk etched with symbols older than any known civilization. Jackson whistled. Either we're in the heart of a god or we just broke the galaxy. Adrian's eyes locked on the obelisk. That's our next challenge. As if hearing his words, the obelisk flared with impossible brilliance. 3 massive figures emerged, each one towering like titans. They were not ships. They were war forms, ancient biomechanical constructs built for one purpose: judgment. Lee's voice trembled. Captain, these things are beyond any classification. Good, Adrian said coldly. Let's see if they bleed. The warforms moved in eerie synchronization, each one wielding a different weapon. The first raised a temporal scythe, its blade capable of severing moments from reality. The second summoned a grav hammer, its swings warping space itself. The third extended entropy chains, reaching out to consume everything in their grasp. The Revenant fired first. Adrian unleashed the Singularity spears, sending the shimmering lances toward the nearest warform. The spears struck, but the Titan merely laughed, the projectiles bending harmlessly against its armor. "They're adapting," Jackson growled. "We need something stronger." Adrian's mind raced. Then he saw it. The obelisk. Energy flowed from it to the warforms. It was their source of power. "Lee, prepare the Omega Edge. We're cutting that thing down." The blade flared to life, its quantum edge brighter than a newborn star. Adrian guided it toward the obelisk just as the three warforms charged. The temporal scythe swung, a slice meant to erase the Revenant from existence. Adrian grinned. Too slow. The Omega Edge clashed against the scythe, shattering it into fragments that scattered into the void. Jackson barked a laugh. "One down, two to go." The grav hammer descended, aiming to crush the ship in a singular blow, but Adrian spun the Revenant hard, skimming the edge of reality itself. "Target the obelisk," he roared. The Omega Edge struck true, slicing the ancient structure clean in half. The warforms screamed, a sound that echoed across dimensions. Their power faltered. Adrian's voice was ice. "Finish them." The Singularity spears fired again, this time piercing through the weakened Titans, tearing them apart in a cascade of shimmering debris. As the last warform collapsed, the celestial arena trembled. The gateway ahead glowed brighter, revealing a new path. Lee's voice was breathless. "Captain, the next trial awaits." Adrian smiled darkly. "Good. Let's see who else wants to play." The Revenant advanced, deeper into the unknown. The Revenant soared through the glowing gateway, leaving the shattered warforms and broken obelisk behind. What lay ahead was unknown, but Adrian knew one thing: they were far from done. As the ship crossed the threshold, reality shifted again. The crew found themselves in a place where even the laws of physics seemed to hesitate. A vast, shimmering voidscape, where fragments of broken worlds drifted like forgotten memories. "Sensors are struggling to function," Lee muttered. "This isn't normal space," Jackson snorted. At this point, what even is normal? A new object loomed ahead, a monolithic sphere, smooth and polished like obsidian, floating in the void's heart. Strange symbols rippled across its surface, familiar yet alien. Adrian's eyes narrowed. "Is that a weapon?" Lee's fingers flew across her console. "I'm detecting no energy signatures. It's inert." The ship's speakers crackled again, the voice of the unseen architects returning, calm and unyielding. "The trial of dominion begins. Seize the core or be consumed." Before Adrian could respond, the void around the sphere shuddered, and 6 new ships emerged. But these were unlike anything they had seen before. Their designs were fluid, shifting and twisting as if reality itself bent to their will. "New contacts," Lee called. "They're already moving toward the core." Adrian's voice was ice. "Not if I get there first." He pushed the Revenant forward, engines roaring with the force of the primal core. The alien ships responded instantly, racing toward the sphere with terrifying speed. Jackson's hands hovered over the weapons panel. "I say we play dirty. What do we hit them with?" Adrian grinned. "Let's give them something new. Deploy the Phantom Swarm." A hatch on the Revenant's underbelly slid open, releasing hundreds of shimmering displacement drones. Each drone flickered, warping in and out of visible space as they swarmed toward the alien vessels. The first enemy ship reacted too late. The drones struck, detonating in bursts of phase-shifting energy. Its hull collapsed inward, imploding in an instant. The remaining alien ships adjusted, their forms shifting into sleek, lance-like shapes. "They're adapting fast," Lee warned. Adrian's eyes locked onto the core. "Then we'll be faster." He activated the Omega Edge, and the shimmering blade flared to life again. "Cut a path through them." Jackson unleashed the gravity lances, spears of compressed spacetime that pierced 2 more alien vessels, tearing them apart. But the last 3 enemies closed in, energy building around their hulls, a weapon unlike anything they had seen. "Captain, they're charging something big," Lee shouted. Adrian's jaw clenched. "Not today." He pushed the Revenant to maximum burn, driving the Omega Edge straight toward the core. "If they want to fight, let's end it right here." The Revenant tore through the void, the Omega Edge blazing like a cosmic sword. The alien ships unleashed their weapon, a pulse of reality-breaking energy that warped space around them. Impact in 5 seconds, Lee warned. Adrian didn't hesitate. Activate the void mirror. A shimmering barrier flared to life around the Revenant, reflecting the incoming energy blast back toward its source. The alien ships barely had time to react before their own weaponry ripped through them, twisting their forms into fragments of molten debris. Jackson let out a low whistle. Okay, that was insane, even by our standards. Adrian smirked. They hit hard. We hit harder. Now focus on the core. The monolithic sphere trembled as the Revenant drew closer. Strange pulses of energy rippled across its surface, and symbols began to shift, rearranging themselves into a complex pattern. It's waking up, Lee muttered, and it's not happy. Suddenly, the sphere split open, revealing a crystalline heart pulsing with an eerie violet light. From it emerged a new threat: sentinel constructs, sleek humanoid machines with blades of pure antimatter. Hostiles incoming, Jackson barked. Adrian's grip on the controls tightened. Deploy the Chaos Fangs. From the Revenant's sides, twin arrays of jagged, shifting projectiles launched forward. Each Chaos Fang phased in and out of existence, bypassing the Sentinel's defenses and striking deep into their cores. The first wave of constructs disintegrated, but more poured from the core, faster and stronger. They're endless, Lee shouted. Adrian's mind raced. The core wasn't just a power source, it was a factory, endlessly producing weapons. If they didn't destroy it now, the battle would never end. We cut the heart out, he growled. Prepare the Omega Lance. Jackson blinked. Captain, that thing's unstable as hell. Adrian's voice was cold steel. I know. Charge it anyway. Energy surged through the Revenant, gathering at the tip of the Omega Edge. The blade extended, transforming into a shimmering Omega Lance, a weapon capable of cutting through dimensional barriers. The constructs surged forward, but Adrian struck first. The Omega Lance pierced through the core's crystalline heart, driving deep into its center. The core began to fracture, cracks spreading like wildfire as energy boiled outward. Impact wave incoming, Lee yelled. Adrian pushed the engines to maximum. All power to shields. Get us out of here. The Revenant shot away as the core exploded behind them, a silent eruption of violet fire tearing through the void. For a moment, everything was still. Then the voice returned, calm but with an edge of respect. You have claimed dominion. One trial remains. Adrian leaned back, a glint in his eyes. Bring it on! As the Revenant stabilized, the shattered remains of the core drifted behind them, still crackling with residual energy. Ahead, the void shimmered. Another gateway forming, its surface swirling like liquid starlight. Final trial, Adrian murmured. Let's see what they've got left. The ship glided toward the gateway, but as they approached, something shifted. Space itself bent inward, and a massive structure emerged, a colossal celestial citadel, hovering like a fortress at the edge of reality. Its blackened spires gleamed with an unnatural glow. Lee's voice trembled. Captain, I'm detecting a power signature 1,000 times stronger than the core. Jackson let out a low growl. Yeah, that tracks. This thing looks like it eats black holes for breakfast. The speakers crackled to life again, this time colder, more judgmental. You have taken dominion. Now prove you can hold it. Face the eternal warden. At the citadel's heart, a figure emerged, a towering being of obsidian and plasma, humanoid in form but impossibly large. Its eyes burned like collapsing stars, and in its hands it held a reality cleaver, a blade designed to unmake existence itself. Adrian's jaw clenched. Of course, a final boss. The Eternal Warden raised its blade, and a pulse of energy erupted, gravity spikes that locked the Revenant in place. Lee cursed. We're trapped! Adrian's mind raced. He needed a weapon beyond everything they'd used, a game changer. Initiate the Starbreaker protocol. Jackson's eyes widened. You're serious? Do it. Panels along the Revenant's hull slid back, revealing a massive spiraling cannon, an experimental weapon forged from collapsed neutronium cores. The Starbreaker could tear through the very fabric of space-time if it didn't destroy them first. Energy built fast, too fast. Warning alarms blared across the ship. The Eternal Warden advanced, reality cleaver burning as it prepared to strike. Fire! Adrian roared. The Starbreaker unleashed a beam of condensed stellar fury, a ribbon of light and chaos that lanced straight through the Warden's chest. The blast ripped through the Citadel, sending shockwaves across dimensions. For a moment, nothing moved. Then the Warden staggered, a massive crack splitting its form. But instead of falling, it raised the reality cleaver again, this time glowing with a death light brighter than any sun. Jackson swore. It's still coming. Adrian's smile turned feral. Good. Let's finish this properly. He gripped the controls and sent the Revenant into a full-speed charge, straight at the heart of the Eternal Warden. The Revenant rocketed toward the Eternal Warden, its engines screaming as reality warped around it. The colossal figure raised the reality cleaver, the blade now a swirling mass of unmaking energy. One strike would tear the ship apart. Brace for impact, Adrian barked. Jackson's fingers danced across the console. Deploying the Nova shields, if they fail, were dust. A shimmering barrier flared to life around the Revenant, bending space itself to deflect the Warden's incoming strike. The reality cleaver slammed against the shield, sending out a ripple of destructive force. The ship shook violently. Shields holding at 32%, barely, Lee called out. Adrian gritted his teeth. We need to get inside its guard. Jackson, load the Void Fang. A panel slid open beneath the ship, revealing a sleek, obsidian-tipped missile, the Void Fang, designed to pierce through any known matter and erase its target from existence. Jackson grinned. Locked and loaded. Delivery in 3 seconds. The Warden swung again, but Adrian rolled the Revenant beneath its strike, skimming dangerously close to the Citadel's jagged spires. Fire! Adrian commanded. The Void Fang streaked out, cutting through the Warden's armor like butter, embedding deep in its chest. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, boom! A pulse of void energy erupted, cracking the Warden's frame wide open. Fragments of its obsidian body floated weightlessly, but its eyes still burned. It's not dead, Lee shouted. Adrian's voice was calm, too calm. Good. I wasn't finished. He reached for the final switch, the one they had sworn never to use. Initiate the Singularity Spear. Jackson paled. Captain, that'll destroy everything within 100 kilometers, including us. Trust me, Adrian said, eyes blazing. We came this far. We're not backing down. From the ship's prow, a glowing spear of collapsed star matter formed, an object so dense it pulled light toward it. The Singularity Spear hummed with the power to end worlds. The Warden, weakened but unyielding, charged again, reality cleaver burning with one final world-ending strike. Adrian thrust the controls forward. Full power, engage! Shh. The Revenant and the Eternal Warden collided in a burst of cosmic fury. The Singularity Spear pierced through the Warden's core, and space itself tore open, swallowing the Warden whole. For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then the Citadel collapsed in on itself, consumed by the Singularity's hunger. The Revenant shot clear just in time, shields flickering as the last vestiges of the Warden vanished into the void. Lee's voice cracked through the comm. Target destroyed. Adrian exhaled slowly. We did it. But the voice, cold and distant, returned one final time. You have proven dominion, but the true enemy has yet to awaken. Adrian smiled grimly. Bring them on. The Revenant drifted through the debris field, its hull scorched but victorious. The shattered remains of the celestial citadel spun lazily behind them, dragged toward the fading singularity. For a moment, everything seemed quiet. Too quiet. Lee broke the silence. Energy readings are stabilizing, but there's something else. Her fingers danced across the console. A new signal, stronger and ancient. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Origin? Jackson leaned forward, his face pale. It's not coming from the Citadel. He turned, voice low and tense. It's coming from beyond this galaxy. A cold chill settled over the bridge. Adrian knew what that meant. Something worse was watching. And now it was awake. The view screen flickered, then blazed with a distorted transmission. At first, nothing but static. Then a shape emerged, an alien face, unlike any they had encountered. Its eyes were hollow voids, and its skin seemed to shimmer between dimensions. You are not the first to destroy a warden, the voice rasped, but you may be the last. Lee's hands trembled. Captain, that thing is broadcasting from the edge of the known universe. Adrian's jaw tightened. Who are you? The alien tilted its head as if amused. We are the architects. We shaped the wardens, and now you face us, Jackson swore under his breath. Of course, there's a bigger bad guy. The screen shifted, revealing a terrifying sight, a fleet of planet-sized vessels, their hulls pulsing with crimson light. Each ship was unlike anything humanity had ever seen, organic, mechanical, and something. They're already moving, Lee whispered, and they're coming straight for us. Adrian's heart pounded, but his voice remained steady. How long until they reach our system? Lee's face paled. Less than 2 weeks. A tense silence fell over the bridge. They had barely survived the warden. How could they stand against an entire architect armada? Jackson leaned back, shaking his head. Unless we find a miracle, we're screwed. Adrian's lips curled into a defiant smile. Good thing I believe in miracles. He turned to the crew. Prep the ship. If they want to fight, we'll give them one. At that moment, the Revenant scanners flared, detecting a faint anomaly deep within the ruined citadel. Lee's eyes widened. Captain, there's something still active in the wreckage. Adrian's pulse quickened. Is it a weapon? Lee shook her head, barely believing what she saw. No, it's a map, and it's leading us somewhere called the Forge of Titans. Jackson let out a breath. I like the sound of that. Adrian grinned. Set a course. If the architects want a war, we'll bring them hell.